Hello, everyone. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. I'm Angela O'Hare, your favorite Las Vegas realtor.
Hey, and I'm Rob Howe, Rockstar Realtor.
And welcome to our monthly market update. Today marks, or not exactly today, but it marks 4 years that Rob and I have been doing market updates. So we thought we would wear our shirts that we got back in the day when we used to have the Rob and Ann show.
Yeah.
Remember that?
Yeah.
Ran out of time. I wish I would have gotten some balloons and some like little hat pieces and stuff like that. That would have been fun. But thank you guys who've been watching us for the last 4 years and supporting our monthly market updates. Let us know in the comments what you think of these monthly market updates, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. It's going to be a very interesting show today. We're going to cover a lot of ground. Obviously, we're going to be going over July 2024 numbers, but we're also going to be going over the new NAR settlement changes, what it means to sellers and what it means to buyers.
Yeah.
So do you want to talk personal real quick?
Sure, we can.
How you doing?
I'm doing great.
You had a nice weekend?
I did. I was in Sacramento area.
I saw that you guys went to a ball game.
Yeah, we went to a Giants game. That was actually unplanned. We wanted to do it, but we didn't want to burden anybody. And then they were like, "Yeah, let's go."
That's cool.
So we went to.
The weather was probably phenomenal.
It was really good for. I mean, it was compared to here, it's much cooler. Although where we were at in near Sacramento is a little warmer. But you get really nice nights and really nice mornings, and it was just a phenomenal trip.
I am ready for this friggin' summer. This has been the longest summer in history, I think, because we hit 100 degrees in May, which we never hardly ever hit 100 degrees. Pretty much for the month of June, we were 100 degrees. Of course, all of July, 120 record highs. And then August so far, I don't even know how many days in a row we've had 100 degrees, probably like 60 plus days, 100 in a row. I am ready for August to be over with. I'm ready for at least the night times, right? I can bear the daytime, but at nighttime when it's still 98 degrees or 100 degrees, it's like,
yeah, it's a bit of a reprieve for me. Like when I get out and play tennis, it's like at night or in the morning, it's really quite a different experience than if you can't do it during the day.
No.
So, I mean, we live with what we have, but it has been a pretty hot summer.
Yes.
No doubt about it.
Very hot. And as everyone knows, I'm getting a pool put in, but it's been slow going. So when they first started the initial dig, they found another pool hidden underneath it. And it was like a kidney-shaped pool. And then on top of that, they hit the worst caliche in history. They even said this is the worst caliche, which is about 25 hours of digging caliche at $300 an hour. So that was $9,000 plus the 15. So it was like total $9,000 extra to get that pool removed and caliche.
Wow. Yeah. You never know what you're going to find in an older backyard. I mean, your house isn't that old, so it's kind of surprising.
Well, it's 32 years old. So
yeah,
who knew 30 years ago what the old previous homeowners had in the backyard, right?
Yeah. And if it didn't get passed down through the years of, hey, here's what happened, and it just disappears until you find it.
Yes.
And caliche is just everywhere, except it is harder in certain areas.
Well, they said that this is the worst type of caliche because it was like not only caliche, but it was some other kind of mineral mixed in with it that made it even harder than concrete. And the guys were jammering 8 hours a day, and our house was shaking 8 hours a day.
Yeah, good times.
So pool experience, let us know in the comments if you guys experienced a pool build and how was that pool build, right? But enough of our personal life. We're going to talk about the numbers and what you guys have been waiting for. Last month was actually shocking, as the thumbnail describes. We thought that we saw it. We thought that the June numbers were it, but were we ever wrong? I mean, our total market update was a lie.
Well, not everything.
It's not a lie. I'm just kidding. But
not everything. But there were some surprises, for sure.
So we're going to get into numbers right now, and I was shocked.
Yeah, it's definitely shocking. I mean, but
So
we have reasons for it, and I think
yeah.
we'll talk about that.
So last month, there were a total of 2,145 single family homes that closed for the month of July, which is up 2.5% from June. If you remember, June was down and up 5.1% from the prior year. Now, the most shocking is the median price. We have for the last 6 months consecutively seen an increase in median price. We went from, what was it? Where did we go from? 475,000 in the month of June to 480,000 in the month of July, which is a $5,000 median price increase or 1.1% increase from the prior month and 6.7% increase from the prior year.
Yeah, that was definitely a surprise.
Yeah, because we predicted that we hit the peak for the summer. We predicted that we're going to see the downward trend going forward because that's how it traditionally is during the summer. But my prediction in the beginning of the year was that we were going to hit the peak of May of 2022, which was 282. I'm only now $2,000 off from
that's the big surprise. Yeah, that's I mean, we'll get into what we were predicting next, but and now it makes you wonder: Are you gonna hit it?
Are we gonna hit it?
Yeah.
And honestly, I think we will. I think we will surpass the peak of the market, but then we've got to see some downward trends
for sure.
Right?
It's virtually built into the market right now that you're going to start seeing something change because I think there is a reason for this happening. There's a clear reason in my mind, and I think it is that people wanted to sort of get this done prior to these fire brokerage agreements.
Right. Yeah, before all these policy changes took into effect, a lot of people started to panic per se, sellers. That's why you saw more listings and more sales because people wanted to buy before. Because on August 1st here in Las Vegas, or the Las Vegas realtors, we no longer now can disclose the commission percentage to the cooperating broker. So that's been removed on the MLS,
yeah.
right? And we'll go into further what the
Right.
tricks that we can do to still advertise it, right? Now, nationally, it's starting August 17th.
Yeah.
But we started 2 weeks or 17 days early, right?
Yeah. Yeah, the documentation's there, and obviously the change on the MLS, multiple listing service is there now. I do think that had to play a role in this.
Yes, the search.
Yeah.
The last hurrah.
Yeah, I think that's, that if you're a buyer and you're told that there's a possibility you're going to have extra costs coming, I mean, don't you think that motivates you?
So
to
that's
sort of
why
say,
I think August, because we're going over July numbers. That's why I think August numbers may be another tick because July is the sales for July that closes in August.
Yeah, and I think it's also, the combination of that we have basically low volume to begin with. There's not, so the numbers can be moved more easily when you have less, overall sales to begin with. I mean, we have had that lower sales volume for a while now.
Right. However, it's upward trending.
It did tick up after a down month. And again, all of the signs were there. We had a down month. The inventory is picking up. All the things that you would say are going to start, making it harder for you to sell your home for more.
Right.
But I would definitely caution sellers from believing that if you're putting your house on the market right now, that you think that, unless it has certain aspects to it, which would always be strong, you just have to take a deeper look into it, make sure you don't overprice your property thinking, oh, you know what, it's going up and away. Maybe the median's going to hit 290, or 490, Right. But I just think you got to be a little careful in what you're seeing there, because it could be a little bit of a, as strangely as this is going up, it could be a strange downside that suddenly happens.
I mean, we always do that during the spring selling season. We hit a higher peak and then we start trending, but we don't go up as high. We just kind of gradually baby steps climb, right? It's not like anything major. Now, if you're a seller,
except for like, what was it, 2021? and 22.
Right.
Those years.
Well, those were different times.
Yeah, those years really jammed up. I mean, 15,000 of,
And the good thing about us is that we have 4 years of history of going over these numbers, right?
Yeah.
So we, if we can remember what happened.
Well, and you said traditionally right now, I mean, that was another reason why I think you were sort of in the camp. You obviously started the year saying, I think this is going to be a explosion. And then you saw, okay, well, it didn't happen by this point. And traditionally, that's
when it happens.
Right. So you were working with evidence-based information.
Past years.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Because, again, we sit here and analyze the numbers. We don't base our predictions off of just what we want it to be. We base it off of history and tradition and what's in front of us currently.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So what does Matt say?
Yeah, Matt says, love the updates, love the shirts. Thank you. Obviously, these shirts, if you didn't hear us at the beginning, these are
OG.
Yeah, OG. These are hearkening back to the early days because this is our 4-year anniversary show. So then he says, so now if you want to just walk a house, do you reach out to the seller agent? No, because here's the deal. You can.
Well, if you do that, you still have to sign a buyer brokerage agreement with that seller's agent. And now you don't want them to represent you and the seller, right? You want to have your own agent represent you.
Yeah, I would say that's generally speaking, you want to have separate representation.
Right. And we're going to get into details further about this whole NAR lawsuit, what it means to sellers and what it means to buyers. We're going to stick to the numbers right now, but that's a great question, Matt, right?
Yeah. Yeah, we'll definitely dig into that because there's the seller's agent has a original
contract listing agreement with the seller.
And that means they have you would assume they would have more of a why am I? Oh my goodness, I'm blanking.
Well, their duties owed, but not necessarily
allegiance.
A fiduciary duty.
But even more
allegiance.
Just, what I mean? Like they're already aligned with that seller. And so so you have to be careful. I mean, yeah, sure. They want to make both sides of commission, but again, now you're starting to get into where their money's, a factor.
And we talked about this last month is that just because there's a lot of buyers that kind of just want to bypass the buyer agent, go to the selling agent, but now you still have to sign a buyer brokerage agreement. Mm-hmm. And now you still, as the buyer, may still have to pay the listing agent their commission because now they're representing you and the seller.
Yeah. Yep. The only way you do that part safely is, and not to get too far into it, is if you make sure, okay, hey, that seller is going to offer a commission to you. If you represent the buyer, okay, great. Now I know I don't have to pay that as a buyer's agent.
Right.
But you could find that out and be represented by a buyer's agent. And I think that would be the smart way to go.
Exactly. So now we're going to talk about the median price for condos and townhomes. And they've been hitting record highs for the last few months now. They're currently at, before we get into that, actually, I always like to go over this real quick. So basically, the median price is now $280. July of 2023, the median price was, not 200, 480. July 2023, the median price is $450. We got the 200, never mind.
We're going back 4 years, folks.
So that's $30,000 difference from year over year. Mm-hmm. Okay. So July 2022, the median price was $465. And then July of 2021, the median price was $405. So the peak was May of 2022 at $482. And then by July of 2022, it had started downsloping at $465. And then we hit the bottom of 2022, I think, at $425,000. So as you can see, we're nowhere near 2021 numbers, nowhere near 2022 numbers, or nowhere near 2023 numbers. We're in a league of our own right now.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah. When the median price of condos is creeping up to where we started in 2020 for single family residents, that's telling you something.
So let's get back to the condos. So now currently the condos increased to 296,000. It had a slight increase. They've been just slightly budging up at 0.3% increase from the prior month. an 8.2% increase from the prior year.
Yeah. So if you sold your condo in the last several months, you've been hitting the highs of the market. You didn't miss anything.
Right.
Not
So
much.
July of 2023, the median price for condos and townhomes was 273,500. July of 2022, that number was 271,800. And July of 2021 was 224,250. So we've gained year over year 22,500 median price in condos and townhomes.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
mhm,
But
mhm.
obviously single family homes had a bigger increase. They've just been remaining relatively consistently at the same price. But their peak was like at 280 something, and they've already hit the peak a long time ago.
Yeah, it's wild. I mean, I think about buying my house at 290. I mean, it was
Wow.
a full, redo, but 290 in 2018
Yeah.
for a single family residence, much better than
What are the rates? I
I
mean, what would you be able to sell it? Do you know?
probably over 600
That's what I was
now.
thinking.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's amazing. And the key point is the only reason why this is the way it is, to me, in my opinion, I've been saying this for the last 3 years, is because of COVID.
Yeah, it definitely.
I mean, we would have seen gradual increases like we have
Mhm.
traditionally seen, but because of COVID, the prices went cray-cray.
It just threw a whole bunch of new stuff in the mix, didn't it?
Or everything, the economy, the world, everything.
Yeah.
All right, so now we're going to talk about the luxury market. And there were 158 homes that sold in July that were over $1 million. June's number was 136. So we had a 22 home increase in homes sold over $1 million. And the median price decreased slightly. It went to 1.456 million from 1.482, which was a little over a $26,000 decrease difference. But
Well,
still,
if we were talking to luxury, we would have been right.
yeah.
It decreased.
But for me, I've had a lot more luxury sales and more consistently luxury sales, which is kind of unusual because I don't usually hit that market.
Yeah. Well, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see what's next. All right, now we're going to get into the new listing. Oh, I wanted to show this graph too. So as you can see, the graph, it goes over what the median price is for the single family homes and where the median price is for the townhomes and condos, and where we were basically from 2022 to 2024, but it's still steadily climbing. We had a high peak in 2022, we declined, but we've been gradually going back up.
Yeah. It's just, as you can see, it was just very, very, very consistent.
Yeah.
Going from, like
but
16 to 20.
Yeah, from 14 to probably 19, 20, it was minimal, gradual, right?
But right here in this 16 to 20 territory, it's just nicely moving up.
Yes.
Nothing too crazy.
Yes.
And then we hit after 2020, it just goes bananas.
Yeah.
That wasn't COVID.
That was after COVID.
I'm just kidding.
The new thing is
I'm
BC.
just making your point. It's
BC like before COVID.
BC, yeah.
Or AC after COVID.
Yeah.
All right, let's get into the numbers. All righty, let's go back. All right, so now what we're seeing is a lot of new listings coming on the market. Maybe people got the word and said, hey, you know what? Before this whole NAR settlement takes place, let's list our house. We had 2,962 new listings that hit the market in July, which is up 5% from June and up 25.8% from year over year. Mm-hmm. I find that unbelievable.
So this is where we've been right. That is continuing that trend of, it's not an onslaught, but when you look at it year over year, it's a lot.
Right. I mean, yes, we had high sales, but it couldn't compete with the number of listings coming on the market, right? So what that means is now our inventory is going up, and we have 4,634 single family homes listed without offers in the month of July, which is up 12.6% from the prior month and up 31.5% from the prior year.
I want to say that's almost doubled, because we were in the 2000s at one point.
Yeah. So I wrote down what for
Yeah.
July 2023, we had 3,524 single family homes that were listed.
Mhm.
So we had 1,100 less homes last year, or 1,100 more homes this year on the market than last year. So that's pretty huge.
Yeah, and I mean it's really jumped up since early in the year.
I mean, as we've seen the median price increase gradually for the last 6 months, we've also seen the number of listings without offers increase for the last 6 months. And I think what it is a lot of those homes that are dumpy, just people are trying to dump, get rid of, need a lot of work, price too high. You're going to start seeing a lot of price decreases on Zillow and Redfin and Realtor, because
price decreases are way up.
Yeah, way up, because these people overlisted their homes.
Yeah, and as you know, because of all the things that we've been mentioning, when people are looking to buy, you as a buyer, I know you're out there going, well, if I'm going to buy in this market, I want to make sure the home is ready. I mean, I don't want to have to do a ton of work to this property. So when a home is like that, it's a lot more likely to sell, especially if it's priced right.
Right.
So if you have something where it's beat up, needs a lot of work, you're trying to price it like the neighbor who didn't need a lot of work, that sold, and just a number of different factors that if you're not paying attention to those, then your house will sit on the market. If you are, then the house sells.
Yeah, I have this one person. She's not a client, but when I sold my house in Rhodes Ranch, she reached out to me because her house hadn't sold, and she was amazed that mine sold in 3 days over asking. And originally she had it listed. It's a single story home, maybe 2,400 square feet on the golf course, not nicely updated, but not like really updated, like today's update. Right.
Yeah.
And she had it listed over $1 million. And she goes, you have your listing price too low. I said, no, I have my listing price right. Right.
Yeah.
And so her house has been on the market for the last 6 months. They've taken it off, relisted it, taken off. When that happens, you can forget about it, because now your home is stale and you just shot yourself in the foot for overpricing it to begin with.
Yeah.
And no matter what you can do, it's going to be very hard to sell. You know what I mean?
I mean, it comes down to price. I mean, bottom line. And then you're going to get the deal shoppers that want to get you when you're finally loosened up enough to come down to where they can get a deal,
right? And the problem is, once it's on the market that long, people are thinking, what's wrong with the house?
For sure.
I mean, is there issues? Why hasn't this
why
home
is everybody
sold?
passing up on it? And people are weird like that. We all we like to get in lines and wait on things, and I think I've talked about it before. There was a show where they just put a line, they just put a thing in the middle of Fremont Street over here, and then people just started lining up. They didn't even know what they're lining up for. People just love lines. So in other words, when something's popular, more people get involved, and they just want to be there. When it's unpopular, the vice versa happens. People are like, whoa, what's
people
going
want
on?
what they can't have.
Exactly.
And when it's in demand, so don't get me wrong, there's still houses that are getting multiple offers, sitting on the market for only a few days. But again, those are few and far between, but the agents were smart. They listed it accordingly. Our strategy has always been list at or below market value, so you attract more buyers and you get more offers. It's such a great strategy.
Yeah, and right now, yes, you may be able to get certainly with that strategy, you're going to get the potential for multiple offers.
Right.
But depending on the scenario, like I've been saying, the volume is down because there aren't as many people able to purchase your home. You may be looking at one or two people that really are the people that are your buyers.
Right.
So you might not be looking at multiple offers, but you will be looking at a strong offer coming in.
True.
If you price it right, you can get what you want, get what you need out of that property. If you don't, now you're pushing all that away. And then, I think you're just really sending the signals out there that it's not something people can do.
As sellers have this false misconception that if they price it high, they're going to get that low offer. And that's why they price it high, to compensate for the lower offer. But in reality, that's not how real estate works these days, especially when you're trying to sell your home. Because again, you want more eyeballs. The first 2 weeks on your listing is the most crucial. And the more eyes you have on that listing, the more likely you're going to get an offer, and price it right. Because oftentimes what happens if sellers don't listen to what we say to list the house, We end up price decreasing, and then you sell it for under what we had suggested because it sat on the market too long.
Very much the case. We could go through different examples all day. I think the only place where it sometimes makes sense is in the luxury market, but the luxury market isn't doing the same thing either anymore, especially like under 2 million. If you start getting up into a super luxury market, then maybe you're talking about listing it higher and realizing somebody's going to come in and negotiate.
Right.
You're looking for one buyer that you want to negotiate with. But generally speaking, I mean, like especially in those, I know of properties that even in this market that are, very hot, 2 million, area. They're single story. They're everything everybody wants, but they're overpriced and they're sitting, and the seller is not doing the move.
There was one at the Arches.
That's actually the one I'm thinking of.
Sand Arch. My clients almost bought that one.
Yep, I had one too. I had a client that wanted to buy it, but
it was at 2.4, and they never budged from it forever. And it's been on the market. I think they took it off where they sold it. I don't know. They've
put it. There's back on. Okay. It's back on, but it's still around the 2 million mark.
Yeah, it needs to be under 2 million for that house.
Yep.
Yeah.
So and so this is a clear example of like, you're just not going to get what you're looking for. And now the market might actually be changing. It is changing, because I just took a look at where we are with numbers on the luxury market, and there's about 900 properties, almost 900 luxury market properties over 1 million. That was much lower not that long ago.
Yeah, but 158 luxury homes, because we usually average about 100 and change, right? So 158 was a lot of over $1 million home sold. Yeah,
it's still traditionally low. So I'm not even saying that, like, I'm not saying that we have a glut of luxury homes. What I'm saying is that they missed an opportunity where there was nothing and people would fight. They would just have to buy your, overpriced property. Right. Now maybe they're just like, hold up, I'm not going to do that,
Yeah.
Especially if it's not going to appraise, which is definitely an issue on, I think, the one so you're either looking at cash or something that wouldn't appraise, and now you got another problem. So
yeah, you know what? I used to always have cash buyers, but lately a lot of my buyers have been financing.
At least partially, right?
Yeah. For these big $1 million homes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And they're doing jumbo loans. So it's kind of interesting. I mean, $10,000 monthly mortgage payment is crazy.
Yeah. I think a lot of them are. Yeah, it is. I think a lot of those people, I'm sure if you've had the conversation, they're thinking rates will come down later. And
they want to save their money and not be cash poor.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right? Absolutely.
So let's just wrap up the numbers and we'll get into some information and then the NAR settlement. So we're going to get into the months of supply right now. And we are currently now at 2.2 months of inventory. Last month, we were at 2 months of inventory. And this time last year, we're at 1.7 months of inventory. So our inventory is a little higher than what we are normally seeing, up 9.9% from the prior month and up 25.1% from the prior year. And then 69.9% of the closings was on the market 30 days or less, and then 71.6 in June, and then 68.7 in year over year last year.
So that's staying pretty consistent.
Yes.
Days on time on market. I will say about the inventory, it's wild, because we're talking the 4-year anniversary here, right?
Right.
We used to always mention that a buyer's or a typical buyer's market was 6 months of inventory. We're still way off of that. But yet we're going, inventory's rising. I mean, there is a good reason to say, inventory's rising.
I don't know if I believe that anymore, because we did used to say that.
That was then.
That was then, right? They used to say that anything over 6 months is a buyer's market. Anything under 6 months is a seller's market. I think once it hits 3 months of inventory, then it's a buyer's market.
I would fully agree with you right now. Fully agree with that statement. As if you have options, in other words, especially talking about the luxury market where there just hasn't been a lot.
Right.
If suddenly that now you're looking at like 3 of those 4-bedroom single story homes that have been missing out there, if now you can look at 3 of them and decide on 3 of them, now you've got to, whereas maybe in a 6-month market, you could look at like, I don't know, 5 or 8 of them.
True. And the problem is there's a lot of junk out there. There's a lot of listings that are just junky. In my opinion, they need a lot of work. I still see when we talk about this in the last 4 years, we've done videos with agents still using their cell phone to take pictures of the home.
Yeah.
I mean, come on, folks.
At least hire an agent that believes they can sell your home and will put the
Why
money
would
into
you
it.
hire an agent that doesn't take professional photos? And then when I see that, I look at how many days it's been on the market. I'm like, photos are, they always say don't judge a book by its cover, right? But the photos are the first thing that's going to get people into your house. And if they're not good, and if they're not bright and beautiful, they're going to pass, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, to me, again, it just tells me this. Every listing tells a little story, and your story you want to tell when you list a property is something that this is a great home, and obviously, you want to show it in the best light possible, and in the description, you want to describe things that make people excited about the home. When I see that none of that has been done, that you're talking about cell phone pictures, you're talking about a shitty description, these things just tell me the agent doesn't even believe in this home.
True.
They don't even believe in it.
They could be those 1% agents that just take the listing at 1% because the seller thinks they're getting a deal.
Yeah, that's how you get a deal.
Yeah.
If you're doing that. I don't care what I've made the agreement with my client. I need to make sure that my listing looks as good as possible. And that's because I might be showing that listing to other people and saying, hey, this is how I do it.
And it's a reflection of you as an agent.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
And
nobody's perfect, but make it as, take your time with things, make it nice.
Yeah. And you do a lot of listings,
Yeah.
Speaking of, I have a great new photographer.
Yeah. Good. We need more photographers.
Yes.
I'm surprised we don't get, hit on, so to speak, by people on here.
I've done some research, and a lot of photographers are really expensive. And I guess we were spoiled because we've been using the same one for 6+ years. And the funny thing is that the photographer I use was coincidentally the same photographer that Rob had used, but we didn't even know each other at the time. We've been using them for a long time, which was kind of cool, right?
Yeah, and he's somebody that was in the music industry. So I have known him for even years before that. So I always try to use people that are musicians if I can. I like those people.
Yeah, I mean, he's always been my go-to, but sometimes availability is not there, and you're like,
he's popular.
Have a listing. He's popular, and I need photos now. So I found a very good. I'm not going to say names because I don't know. I'll tell you later.
Yeah, we'll talk about it.
All right. So now let's get into some information that I took some notes, and then we're going to get into the NAR settlement. Let's see if there's any questions.
We do have something.
Yeah. Matt says if they don't take professional photos, I assume they can't negotiate either.
Oh God. Yeah. That's
a solid, good point.
It's not even, like I didn't even get that far.
You're right. Okay.
I mean, they're just astonished when they get an offer. Take it.
I mean, I remember before I was in the real estate days, and when I ever listed my house, I mean, when I was a dumb person, but I always made sure that the people that did take photos of my house was professional and depicted great pictures of my home. I mean, if you're a seller, come on. Are you high?
Yeah. I can't even, there's a multitude of reasons why I've seen it. Sometimes people are out of the state or out of the country that are selling these, and they aren't even aware of what's going on. They just say,
yeah, but as a seller, you should be checking your listing to see what those photos look like.
Of course. There's no good excuse. I'm just trying to think of something. Sometimes they go with the property management company, which is a foolish idea.
True.
And you'll find that property management company, they might be stellar at managing a property, but they are not necessarily good at listing your property. So that's a bad move.
Good point. All right. So let's see what my little tad bit is. Close to 30% of the homes for sale in the Las Vegas Valley. So this kind of ties into what we've been saying. Mm-hmm. So 30% of the homes in the Las Vegas Valley have been on the market for more than a month. There are more listings hitting the market, but a lot of them are not in good condition, or they're not in a desirable neighborhood, and sellers are pricing unrealistically high, as I've been saying throughout this market update, right? A lot of sellers are willing to let their homes sit on the market until they get the price they want. And a lot of buyers aren't willing to pay sky high prices when mortgage rates are still high.
Absolutely.
So sellers, if you're watching this, you need to take note, right?
Yeah.
More affordable homes in popular neighborhoods and luxury homes that are priced fairly are still getting multiple offers and selling quickly. Las Vegas also has the biggest year-over-year increase of new listings on the market for any major metro at 17.5%, beating San Jose at 17.3%.
I did not know that. That's a very interesting stat.
Yes. And then July was the 5th straight month in which the portion of homes sitting on the market for at least 1 month ticked up on a year-over-year basis. Less desirable listings are sitting on the market, causing unsold inventory to pile up. So that's why our inventory is piling up, is because of the overpriced homes, the undesirables, right? So more than a quarter, which is 27% of the homes sold in the Valley, are selling above the initial listing price, a 2.4% increase year over year, while 24.9% of the homes sold have dropped their prices. 2.3% increase from June 2023, and the average home in the Valley sells for about 1% below its initial list price.
Yeah. So people are listing high, some are getting it, and that is moving our median price. And then we have the others who are not and having to decrease their price, which goes back to everything we just said.
Yes.
Don't do that.
Yes.
And San Jose, by the way, that was an interesting thing. I just have to bounce to that real quick because my thought was, okay, so we have Vegas and San Jose having about the same inventory percentages moving up, right?
Right.
Is that what that said?
Yeah.
San Jose is a completely different market.
Oh,
than
yeah.
Here.
Isn't it like an armpit in California?
Well, I don't know a whole lot about it. I just know that in California is having some struggles. And so the more inventory that they see come on is really a problem. I think in Las Vegas, we're going to handle it a lot better.
Yes.
Because a lot of those people that are coming here are coming from there. And now that if they can just get their home sold. But that's a little bit of a juxtaposition. Vegas is going, even though we have that happening, we are just have so much more demand and are a much smaller area than these areas are.
Yeah. And real quick, another advice I have for sellers is, instead of having these dumpy properties, buyers, as Rob mentioned, want move-in ready. So the best return on your investment is to have the whole inside refreshed, painted. And if you have old, dingy, pea-smelling carpet, replace your carpet. Those two things are the most return on your investment you can get on your home. Then you can list it. And of course, have it cleaned, professionally cleaned, so it shines. And, I'm sure it'll sell faster than if it would if you didn't do anything to it.
100%. And I'm going to add on to that. If you don't have an agent that is offering that kind of services and helping you with that process, then you have the wrong agent to help you sell your home. You need an agent that has the ability to get bids on the property and help you sell that property in any way they can.
Yeah. I mean, I won't take a listing. I mean, we always do pre-listing walkthroughs. We tell the sellers what needs to happen, what they need to do to get the home ready, like declutter, depersonalize, clean, spick and span, and then I'll take a listing. But there's a lot of agents that you'll see these photos of hoarder stories, right?
Yeah.
I won't take a listing like that. I'm sorry. And not to be snobby, but if you're not going to take effort to try to sell your home, why should I take effort to sell it?
Yeah, I think you have to be able to see the writing on the wall as a listing agent. What's the reality of this happening? Now, I will take. There's a couple of exceptions when it's somebody that I've known for a long time or had a long time client, and they come to me and they just want to do something. Okay, hey Chuck, we're going to do what you want to do. I'm going to tell you what I can to help that process along. Usually, Chuck is going to listen to me.
Right.
But there would be a rare exception where it's just like, hey, okay.
But as you said, there are times, like one of my listings, we helped stage it, get it ready, just like clean it a little, just.
Oh, I do that all the time.
You have to have an agent that's willing to get on their nitty gritty hands and knees and do the work to get your home listed, right?
Yeah. I mean, thankfully, I don't have to get in there and do it too much myself. If I do have to, I will.
I mean, if we're on a time crunch and they want it listed and we're like, oh my God, this house is crazy. I'm going to get in there and clean it for them.
Yeah, I'm hiring the people to do it.
Right.
You can pay me back after escrow if you don't have. That's the other thing. I mean, some sellers are looking at it's just such a penny smart nickel foolish attitude.
Right.
It's like, I don't want to spend this little bit of money here. Okay, fine. Let me spend it for you because I'm that confident that if we price it, if you're helping me price that right, I'll help you get this sold. Period. Right. I'll spend $250 on a cleaner or whatever we got to do, and then we'll get that thing sold.
Exactly. Let's see if there's any comments. All right. You want to read, Matt?
Sure. It was. Did we already go over
Yes.
that? Yeah.
Uh-huh.
I thought Vegas was the one city that had declining inventory in the U.S. Could have just been a clickbait. I think. Well,
mine came from the RJ, so
I think that we did have declining inventory for a long time,
Yes.
and it's been about the last 3 months
Yeah.
that we've seen. So you may have seen, and I will tell you that for sure, this has been happening a lot. The news is behind the actual
right
action.
Right, exactly.
They're looking for a headline that makes people.
Well, and you got the YouTubers that want that clickbait headline too, right?
Yeah.
Just like the doomers have been predicting for the last 2-3 years that the market's crashing and has yet to crash, right? Here we are at 480,000, right? 480,000 in median price. And they saying, oh, it's going to happen now. Now, I haven't watched them because they make me mad, but I know that they're probably saying it's going to happen in 2025. Just wait and see. Well, 2024 is here, folks, and I haven't seen a crash yet.
Yeah. There are probably more indicators for slight concern,
right?
But not really in Las Vegas. That's where I think Las Vegas is so well insulated. And so I think if you're coming here, you're thinking about coming to Las Vegas, you're doing the right thing in a lot of ways. And as long as it's something that you're not putting yourself in a position, make sure you're getting a mortgage that's not going to crush you at any point, even if you get a little pinched.
Yeah. And hopefully in September, they are anticipating to finally lowering the rates.
It's really looking like we're going to finally see some rate changes. And I've even heard from people that I think I trust a lot out there that they just pay attention to this way more than I can. It will be 3 rate changes potentially before the end of the year.
Well, and it also depends on who gets elected president. Also, I'm sure. I mean, I think consumer confidence, I think people's confidence right now is very low. And I think that could attribute to why we may see a decline in the housing market in the next few months because of what's going on with the whole elections and presidential ooha.
I'm really not sure. I think yes, there's fear in the market.
Yes. Well, because there's lack of confidence in the nation right now. I do believe, right? And I think once we finally figure out who's going to be the next president, I think there could be a confidence boost.
It helps. I've heard different arguments. I think it helps. People just go, okay, we know what we're dealing with now. So whatever that is. Right. So I think the unknown is what I think people fear and go, okay, well, we don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah. And a lot of people halt and say, you know what, let's wait to see who gets president. I don't want to buy a house right now because I don't know what's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
A lot can happen between both parties, right? I mean, there's so much that can happen.
It's been a wild ride so far, right?
Yes.
Politically. Well, yeah.
Very wild ride.
So I actually think it's pretty calm right now, which is also kind of
We'll
wild.
wait for that debate in September.
Yeah. But I think when it comes to what I overall am looking at, and I really am ignoring whatever presidential stuff is going on. I think the reason why I personally am doing that is because when I think about the Fed right now, I actually think they're doing the right thing, which is ignoring that as well. Right. This year, at least in my mind, they have not acted in a political manner. And that would mean to say that they didn't do things just to prop up. Like if they wanted to make the sitting president look better, they would have dropped rates and had a boom in the.
Very true. And, maybe it was a tactical thing to make him look poor.
I doubt it. I think they backed themselves into a corner early on with this, and I think now they're acting accordingly.
But listen, 2 years of this now. 2 years. We started seeing rate increases. I think it was June of 2022, right after we hit the peak, and now it is August of 2024, and we have not had any real breathing room. We've had some little decreases here, but it's been relatively in that 7% range, right, for the last 2 years.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if they haven't, and I said this in all my market updates, and I'm not an economist, and I'm not, I'm just saying based off of a consumer, if they haven't quelched the inflation in the last 2 years, I mean, how much more can we take this?
Yeah, well, and they have to be careful right now, and that's why the rate changes would be coming, because they're starting to see other economical signals. It's an economic
Side
signals.
effects.
It's not just about real estate market, but when you think about the interest rate, it is also about small businesses and the loans that they get, and a number of different ways that trickles around all over the economy. And I think those are the areas that are really feeling that right now. Ironically, the real estate
Hasn't
market,
felt it.
if you're not in a high inventory state where there's a lot of inventory, then you're not really feeling it like Vegas. Vegas, like I've said, if it was up to Vegas, we'd probably have raised rates again.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, it's ridiculous to, and it's not that we agree with these prices going up, because we have empathy for those young folks. What are they called? Gen X now, Y, Z? Because
I'm Gen X.
we're
You're
Gen X.
Gen X.
Yeah. So the generations after us, right? Not the millennials, but the generation after the millennials, right?
Gen Z.
Gen Z, which is my daughter. These people can't afford it, and even a $300,000 house, good luck finding anything decent in Vegas. And at those high interest rates, their mortgage payments more than what I'm paying right now for my mortgage payment, which is a much bigger, more expensive house.
Yeah, you should try on California for size.
True.
I was just out there and in an area that's relatively affordable compared to, it's Roseville, which is outside of Sacramento. And it's like, for a nice Lennar home.
Oh, yeah.
Like it was, now granted, this one had a casita, the
Next gen suite.
Next gen suite. Thank you. You're looking at over $5,000 a month for your mortgage over there.
Yeah,
800,000.
We're not going to be going over new construction this month. We've skipped it for the last 3 months, but next month, because it's that time of year again, where I feel it's always important to start buying in the fall season for new construction. We're going to start going over what the deals are and start analyzing them starting from September, October, November, December, and watch the deals.
I think it's going to be, that will be a big indicator for everyone.
Yes.
I'm excited for that.
Hey, Janet, good to see you. All right. So now
Gen X, what up?
Yeah. Oh, Gen X. Oh, yeah. You're Gen X. All right. So now we're going to get into this whole NAR settlement. We've kind of briefly been talking about it for the last few months, but now it has officially taken place in Las Vegas since August 1st, but nationally it's going live this weekend on the 17th. So we're going to go over what it means for sellers, and then we're going to go over what it means for buyers. So going forward, compensation for your agent remains fully negotiable and will be negotiated in the new listing agreement. Sellers still have the choice of offering compensation to the buyer brokers, and that it may be in the seller's best interest to pay for the buyer broker's commission. Doing so attracts more buyers to their property, just like setting an accurate list price, but your agent cannot include it in the multiple listing service or MLS. Okay. So going forward, the new listing contract is only going to go over what commission you're going to be willing to negotiate with your listing agent. No more are the days where we say 5%, and those commissions are split. Right. It's only between you and your listing agent. Capiche? And then going forward, because you only have this agreement with your listing agent, we don't disclose what the commission percentage is going to be offered on the MLS to the buyer's agent.
Up in the air.
It's up in the air. However, I think if we continue to stay traditionally, I've had a couple of listings and with my sellers, and they're all for it. I just say, I think the only difference is the contracts are different. I think everything should remain the same, where sellers should still pay for the buyer's commission, and that's negotiable. So now going forward on the purchase agreement, the offer of compensation will be there, and we'll go over that in a minute.
Yeah.
Do you have any words about the seller thing?
Yeah. I think just really quickly, there's been some stuff that's coming through that actually this is potentially in markets going to make it more expensive for sellers to, and they're going to end up having to pay what is going to be the market rate. D.R. Horton, for example, and I can't remember what state. They're offering higher commissions as a builder, and so that's causing the entire market to adjust and say, oh, we need to offer higher commissions. The sellers on the residential or resale side are saying,
I saw something like that. They were like
Yeah.
offering 6 or 8%
Yeah.
commission or
Mhm.
something like that.
Yeah. So anyway, that's jumping ahead a little bit probably. So what I will say is that if you're a seller and you're looking at this, it's just out there in the ether. We don't know what the commission is going to be, but now we'll talk about how that's going to take place, right? You're going to get a
Right. I mean, as a listing agent, I let my sellers know the situation that going forward on the purchase agreement, the buyer's agent's going to ask for their commission. And I think we should keep everything as status quo, right? Keep everything as it was, but now it's just negotiable. And if they're offering 3, maybe you only want to offer them 2.5 or 2%, right? But the neat thing is that your agent can still advertising off MLS platforms, even on flyers, if you are considering offering a co-op to the buyer's agent, we can advertise that on flyers, which is still pretty cool. It's just not on the MLS. We can't advertise it.
Yeah, I think this is going to create a bit of a boom for sellers that do offer higher commissions. I think buyer's agents are going to rush to properties that offer these things and make sure that they show their buyers those properties. If you're keeping it unknown, or certainly if you're saying to when somebody calls you up and you're an agent has to tell that buyer's agent that, hey, yeah, we're not offering any compensation, it's going to be a ghost town at your property.
Yeah. And it's just going to create more work. And in my opinion, as we said in previous videos, it's going to create steering even more. I mean, I showed a couple of listings this weekend, and I never was the agent that ever looked at the commission to begin with. If my client wanted to see that listing, I showed it, right? I mean, I guess I need to be more smarter and start calling before I start showing properties, because what's going to happen is and this is what the settlement means to buyers now. Before you can tour a home, either in person or even virtually, that buyer needs to sign a buyer brokerage agreement with you. And the terms could be, it could be a day, it could be months, and
amount of houses, right?
Amount of houses. It could be certain addresses, certain cities. But that's something between you and the buyer. So going forward, technically you should be meeting your agent or doing a Zoom call, signing this. Your first thing is the duties owed, then the buyer brokerage agreement. Then you and your agent negotiate a commission. So let's say that we negotiate 2%, but now on the seller side, they're going to offer us 3%. Where does that 1% go? Technically, it doesn't go anywhere, and the agent doesn't get the 3% because they only agreed to the 2%. However, in the additional terms, what we are doing is, regardless of what the seller is offering and what we have agreed upon, I will get the full percent commission. Does that make sense? Yeah.
I know we've talked about potentially going higher with that number and saying, hey, whatever the seller's offering, I'm not charging you the rest, the difference. This is where it's the sellers on the seller side. Again, going back to that, you got to know you're getting an offer. It's going to have a commission amount that buyer's agent is requesting in there. That's going to be based off of what they already have an agreement with their buyer for. So do you want to, sort of have to agree or negotiate through two people in a way, which is the buyer's agent and the buyer? Or do you want to worry more about the big terms and the price of the home and those other bigger things that are definitely where your money's really at?
Right.
Or as long as they're not asking for something that's out of the norm, you just want to say, okay, I'm good with that.
Yeah. And then say, for example, if you and the buyer have an agreement of 2.5%, but the seller's only offering 2% commission, the buyer now has to come up with that 0.5% difference to pay their agent.
Yeah.
And that could add up. It could be like $3,000, $5,000, depending on the price of the home.
This is where I think sellers need to be careful in understanding. You could be blowing a deal by trying to negotiate that commission.
0.5%.
And I think that's just, that's foolish. Now, most agents, depending on the price of the home, if it's $1 million home, they probably aren't going to let that destroy the deal. But if you get down in the lower price ranges, some agents might say, hey, listen, this is my career. This is how I make my living. And I'm not going to change that number because the seller decided they didn't want to, pay me a few hundred or $1,000 extra or whatever.
Right. So as a buyer, before signing the agreement, they should ensure it reflects the terms they negotiate with their agent and that they understand exactly what services and value will be provided, as well as for how much and for how long this agreement will last. Okay. Mm-hmm. Broker fees and commissions are fully negotiable and not set by law. You do not need a written agreement if you are just speaking to an agent at open house and asking about their services, or, if they're like leads that come in and we communicate.
I think the open house is the one way you can walk into a property without one of these. Yeah.
Yeah. And the sellers may agree to offer compensation to your agent. This practice is permitted, but the offer cannot be on the multiple listing, and you can still accept concessions. So the point is that, and I'm doing a video on this shortly, is that if we start cutting out the buyer's agents, then the buyer's agents are not going to be showing the listings, especially if there's no concessions offered, because buyers have to come up with the down payment. They have to come up with closing costs, and now they have to pay their agent. A lot of buyers are cash poor and they only have enough to just survive and just make the bare minimum, right?
Yeah.
So what's going to happen is a couple of things are going to happen. If sellers continue to not offer concessions, then the prices are going to get lower. And also the sellers or buyers may now be asking for closing cost incentives, because whatever money they had for closing costs now will have to pay for their agent.
For sure. 100%. They're going to need that. This is really going to be really tight, highly contested in some of these lower price ranges, and certainly in the areas of where, there might be some, which is more and more popular, buyer's assistance, the grants and loan programs that they're offering, so that's for people who don't have a ton of cash. They have the credit to do it. They're getting a little grant or
a VA buyers that have no
VA buyer. Yeah. This is where I do think this is going to be a little shock to the system. We've been saying that for some buyers, and even for experienced buyers that might have the money, but go, this is not how I've traditionally done it, and I'm not paying this son of a gun right here.
Well, you're going to scale a lot of buyers away. If it's not explained to them properly, they're going to be like, I'm not going to sign this agreement with you. I don't want to risk having to pay you your commission.
Yeah.
Because they're so used to not. And, the commission is built in the price of the home. Plain as day, right? The sellers at the end of the day get more money because of the commission,
Well, because buyers don't have to pay commissions,
right?
That's for sure. They get more money because they're setting what that commission is on their side, and they're agreeing to that.
And buyers are willing to pay a little higher if they don't have to pay their buyer's agent commission. So in turn, you can make more money.
Yep. So I think we got a good question here. This Matt again says, does this mean buyers will be trying to submit their own offers and avoid buyer's commission? I do not think that will work at all. It could be something that people try, but if you've got a buyer or a seller that's represented by an agent already, now you've got Joe Blow that just comes along and says, I want to make an offer. They're completely unrepresented. They don't know how to do contracts. They don't know anything.
All the forms required.
Any of the. So who's helping them with the your agent? Your seller's agent is going to have to do all that work to make that happen. That seller's agent, if they're smart, is going to say, this is too much liability on me. I'm not doing that.
Or they'll walk right all over you and take advantage and not pay attention to the timelines. They're not going to tell you what is dutifully what you should know.
That would cause a number of issues, and you may not believe us now, but try it.
Yeah. I
think you'll figure out that unrepresented buyers, people who just don't know what they're doing, but they just want to throw money at them. A real estate, could you hire a real estate attorney? Let me ask you this question. What do you think's cheaper, a realtor or an attorney? Okay. Now you may live in a state where you use attorneys, but those attorneys are not going to act as realtors. So I don't know how it works over there, but I don't think they're going to suddenly say, yeah, you know what, we'll go ahead and submit offers for you and act as if we're the agent.
We don't have it's not very commonly used. Real estate attorneys, like back east, New York, New Jersey, that's very common for
We have
every
escrow
transaction.
officers.
Yeah. We don't use attorneys here as often, and I'm sure you could, but attorneys aren't cheap, and you're going to have to be paying them a flat, like a retainer, an hourly wage, and stuff like
sense.
that.
What does an attorney? What does even a real estate attorney know about a
They just know
residential
about
real
law.
estate? Yeah,
They just know about law.
I mean, they'll handle the contract.
Right.
Okay, but that's not everything that a real estate agent does. A good agent like us, we are involved in so many ways. I mean, there's just a lot that we do, and I mean, don't want to sound like somebody who's I don't know. I mean,
for us, a lot of times people think buyers agents especially don't do anything. They just sit, twiddle their thumbs. But, in reality, we are available 24/7. Anytime our clients contact us, we try to answer them in a timely manner. I couldn't even take a honeymoon because people are constantly contacting me. I'm not that type of agent that ignores people. Plus, all the research we do, everything we do 24/7, we don't ever have time off to ourselves. And you said it's time off versus days off.
Yeah, I don't have days off. I have time off. And just going into a home. Okay, just walking a home. The first initial walk. Buyers that are not experienced, have not bought multiple properties before, do not know what to look for.
Right.
Okay.
True.
I mean, I'm telling you, that's a huge, huge deal. If you want to run into problems, just walk into a home and think that, you can just offer on it and not really look at the home. You need a set of experienced eyes to tell you, hey, this is great, but we need to be aware of some of these things.
Exactly.
Look up. I mean, the simplest thing you might need to do is look up in a home. People don't do it. I know that sounds silly. Now you can take my advice and do that, but that's not everything. It's just one little minor thing that people don't do.
Well, I always point out the pros and the cons. I'm not afraid to highlight the negatives as well as the positive of the property. And then the buyers can make that executive decision to move forward.
Yep.
But I want to at least showcase, hey, this could be a potential, or this is what the home inspector is going to see and look at, all that, point out everything.
And why do you do that?
I want to make sure the deal's solid and
boom, boom. We are looking to get to the goal line. Okay.
Right.
If we look at a property and go, hey, I see all these problems ahead. I think that we're going to get involved in this. You're going to spend money and it's going to go nowhere. And then we're going to have to start this process over again. Well, then we want to try to let you know about all that before we have that happen. Now, if you choose to do it anyway, that happens. You know what I mean? And maybe it works out. But sometimes, if you didn't have that help to understand those things, you might have gone in unaware. I've seen it over and over again with people that I've just heard their story of buying a home where they didn't have representation that helped them do that.
Right.
And they found out the hard way. We don't do that. We try to hunt the trouble down before you have it. Plus, and that's a big deal.
I would say 80 to 90% of my buyers are from out of state. And how could you buy a property and rely on buying it yourself, right? Us agents that work a lot with buyers that are from out of state, we know how to make videos for those clients when they're not there, do an in detailed video tour and go over what I see. I know I tell it like it is. I don't like sugarcoat anything. I would like to think that I'm a very honest agent. But anyway, we're getting kind of sidetracked.
Well, I think it's important for people to know where that value all comes from. And
right.
I mean, it could even be like, the videos of that. What about, hey, you're coming in town, your house is being built, but you want to come in town, you want to rent for a short term. We help with that. I mean, like everything in under the sun is like kind of what I feel like we do.
Right. Right.
And all of that is a help to you.
Make arrangements for the home inspections, make arrangements for the closing, the walkthroughs,
the appraisal, sending you comparables,
communicating with the lenders, right?
Comparables on their own.
Yeah.
That's an art. Okay. If you think that it's just so easy to just go out and look at and see what a property's valued it should be. I mean, maybe sometimes it's easy if you're looking at that there was, 20 sales of the same home, but that's not been our market at all. It's a little bit of an art.
Yeah. And following up with the lenders. I mean, so much can happen between the title company, the lenders, and everything. So our job is to always control it and make sure it's moving smoothly.
Could you imagine if lenders just didn't have anybody prodding them along? It was only oh my goodness, I've been through it with the lenders, right?
Yeah.
And so when we see this trouble, we try to cut that off at the pass. You may not even know that there were a number of things we avoided just by being on top of that stuff. Anyway, I have a strong opinion about all this.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, this could be a positive thing, but the most takeaway I could say to sellers is let the status quo, let it be as it always been. The only thing that's changed is the listing agreement and the purchase agreement. And of course, now the buyer brokerage agreement is mandatory for any time that you want to look at a home anywhere across the country, not just Las Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
And also those people that I said in the last video, if you're looking to check out Las Vegas and the neighborhoods, we can definitely do a meet and greet, and I can give you advice on houses or areas to look at, but especially if you're only a year or two out. I mean, I'm not going to open the door and make you sign a contract with me, right? So unfortunately, don't expect those types of things to happen as it used to be in the past, where I would meet my clients and not expect anything. Oh, another thing, we can be working with clients for years and not get anything. Or a deal can go south and we've spent 2 or 3 months with the clients and didn't get paid for it.
We live on the edge, folks. We live on the edge, but we're willing to do it because that's the right thing to do. And I've always felt like what we were dealing with was the right way. We earn what we get.
And we don't know until it actually closes. I mean, we can't spend that money, and we work for free for a whole 30 days plus, however long it takes to cultivate the buyer or your client. And then you finally get paid. And, think of all the bills that have piled up in the meantime. So a lot of times people, I know you want to comment, a lot of times people think that buyer's agents don't do anything, but unless you know a good buyer's agent, then don't talk.
Yeah, I do want to say though that Matt was very he agrees with what we're saying. I for a minute I thought he was kind of trying to find the way around and like say, hey, that some people are always looking for the deal and a way around something. They see this as an avenue to save them a bunch of money. We want you to save money. We are people that do not believe in it. It costing you more. And I'm very
aggressive in my offers.
Yeah, that's how we do it, is by negotiating probably. But he does agree. And he says one thing that I think is very, very good point. The good agents are valuable. The good agents. You are right. And I think we're going to see what we've already been seeing in some ways, but an exodus of agents that are not going to be able to handle this. And it will bring the cream. The cream is going to continue to rise to the top. The agents that can explain their value and why you're signing this document. And for both of us, it's a little bit of a new thing. So it will be an adjustment to even just be like, that's great, Chuck, but let's get this signed first.
Yes, because I've never had, a lot of agents had done them in the past, but I never believed in them.
Yeah.
But there's a saying that say there's only about 20% of agents that survive real estate school the last 2 years, but only 10% of them are doing any business.
Yeah.
So even though there may be 15,000 real estate agents in the Las Vegas Valley, only 10% of them are doing actual work.
And I can say that's even more so now. It's been exacerbated, and the cream is really doing all of the work right now. That's what I see out there.
Right. All right. So off our little rant, and as you know, again, what's happening with the NAR settlement, obviously, I hope that things don't really change it. But if it does change and the sellers aren't offering the buyers compensation, then I suspect that the market's going to go sideways and we will start seeing a decline, less buyer pool and less price increases in the prices, which could be good, but sellers, it's going to be bad for sellers and good for those buyers because the prices are going to start decreasing.
Find your ways to take advantage. This could be one of them. What I do know for sure, we are in an adjustment period. Whatever that means, if that adjustment happens quickly and everybody kind of gets this and moves right along, or if it just kind of takes a little bit of a seizure moment, everybody goes, whoa, and then we adjust. That's what's going to happen. We're going to adjust however this works out.
And another advice I have real quick, and then we're going to get into bets, is if you're a seller, my personal opinion, and that's just me, is I would say hold off on listing your home until the springtime. Just because of everything that's happening with the world, the presidential and blah, blah, blah. Spring is always the best time to sell your home, right?
Yeah, it's notorious for that.
And by then we'll get all the kinks worked out.
I'm going to say two 2 points to that. One is that you're right in most cases, but if you're somebody that does not have much of an option to wait, you got to get it done. Well, then you should get it on yesterday.
Yeah. I mean, if you have to, you have to. But if you can, I would wait.
Yeah, get it on as soon as possible. I don't think waiting till later in the year is going to be the brightest idea.
No, definitely not towards the end of the year.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, I think anywhere across the country, it's not wise to list. Right.
it may not be.
Yeah.
Let's get, yeah.
All right, bets. So I get to go first this time.
Okay.
Because we put the star.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
All right. So we're going to get to bets and finally wrap this up. For medium sales price, Rob said that it was going to be flat. I said, because I thought we were hit that peak last in June, that we were going to see a 2,000 decrease. Well, technically we were both wrong because it was a $5,000 increase.
We were way off.
But since Rob said flat and I said 2,000 decrease, then Rob kind of technically won the bet.
Well, see, I had the advantage of going first there. And
Yes.
when you're going first, your objective is to put it in a place that's really hard for the other person.
Right. That's why I only did 2,000.
So it was hard to say it wouldn't be flat. So
Right.
I made it difficult to, put you under the pressure.
But what can you explain why the housing inventory is increasing? I can't figure that out.
I just think there's, well, I mean,
Besides the people trying to get listed before this NAR lawsuit, what are other reasons why you think the increase of inventory is happening?
well, I think what I have been seeing is generally the same amount of inventory coming on. It's not
Just those inventories just not selling because they're the deadbeat houses.
Yeah. And then so you have stuff that's staying on longer that's just not selling. And then you have basically a smaller and smaller buyer pool. We do have less volume. I mean, there's no doubt about that.
Right.
Even though we ticked up for a second, it's like, we'll see what happens next month. And we may get another one. We didn't say that, but we may get another. That's what I guess we could talk about that when we decide what's next here. But
yeah, how did we do it? Did we go over it all and then we say what we? Yeah, I think so. So with brain fart,
4 years, we don't know
offers,
what we're doing.
Rob said 4,400. I said 4,300, and it went up to 4,634. So winner took all again, 2 months in a row. Rob won.
Well, then that one again, you went first, and I just didn't believe the number. I said it was that I'm just going to go a little bit above you, and that one was,
And then months of supply, Rob hit the nail on the head again at 2.2, where I said 2.3, just based off of if the inventory is increasing, and it was at 2.2. So
wow, I got a little lucky on that one. I would say. Yeah.
Now with me going first, let's see if I can win. No, just kidding.
Yeah.
All right. So now my opinions, of course, change after we see the numbers. Last month I was tooting a whole different tune, right?
Yeah.
I think this month the hurrah is still there. I think because people were still buying in July, August, we're going to be going over August numbers. I still think we're going to see a slight increase in median price. And then after August, then I think that's when we're going to start going down. So with that said, I'm going to say this time around a $2,000
You better say a $2,000 because that aligns directly with where you've been at.
Yep. So
year.
that's going to align with what I've been saying.
Yep.
So 2,000 increase.
Okay. So this is tough because you did what I exactly think you should do, which is try to make it hard for me to go above you. I do not buy into another strong increase.
Right. I don't
I
think
can buy into an increase. Right. I can. So that's why I'm just going to go ahead and say $1,500 increase.
Okay.
But I think you've put a very good number there because
it comes with my prediction that I predicted.
And you might get it. You might at least tie it.
Finally get something right. No, I'm just kidding.
No, you've had a lot right. It's only been in the last couple of months that I've been.
All right, let's see if there's any. Okay, we'll get through these.
We had the last one to predict, right?
Yeah. No, I just wanted to see if there's any more comments.
Yeah, we'll get to your comments.
All right. So without offers,
it's a long show today, folks.
Without offers,
we're at
4,600 now.
Well, we're gonna go. Oh gosh. Okay. $4,850.
Damn, I was gonna say 4,800. Oh, sorry.
$4,850.
Let's do this. 4,850.
I'm going 40. I had to pick a number that was going to be tough for you.
Yeah, that was tough because I was
You
gonna say
go above me?
4,800.
You gonna go above me?
All right, we're at 46 now, and the month before we were at, what were we at? 44, 43. We saw a huge increase, and if we continue to see this trend, oh my God, I'm gonna say 4,900.
She's going above me.
All right, so that puts us at months of supply. We're at 2.2 at 4,600. So I'm going to say 2.4 months of inventory.
Mm-hmm. That's a really good number you picked there.
Yeah.
Because it's hard for me to, like, I want to go 2.41. Like, I just want to be just above you, like.
But that's not. It's just flat out.
But I think you're gonna be right on that.
Oh, it's my turn to win. Just kidding.
I'm not just giving it to you. All right. Well, I'll say 4.5.
Huh?
I'm sorry. Yeah. Wait.
2.5.
2.5. That's what I'm trying to say.
Okay. 4.5. Huh?
I don't even know where 4.5 came out of my mind.
All right. So let's answer the rest of these questions, and we got to go.
All right.
All right, Matt.
The problem I'm seeing is people can't qualify for high enough loan. With the average income, people are only seeing around 300, 400. Absolutely. 100%, Matt. That is I mean,
And it sucks because there's not enough inventory to support this.
Yeah, even if they could qualify,
not even townhomes.
Even if they do qualify, they're not really. They're looking at a condo, and even condos hidden within.
Townhome, yes.
Yeah, but condos and townhomes hidden within those. Most of those are going to be also the HOA fees. So
yeah, you're going to have huge HOA fees.
You might
and not even new construction. You can't find anything.
No.
Under 300.
No, for sure not. Those are all very.
Yeah, it's tough. Matt, are you a lender?
Thanks, Janet.
Yeah. All right, folks. We went long enough, as always.
We went long.
We always do. We always have. It's our 4-year anniversary.
Yeah.
But
we had a lot to say.
We had a lot to say. We always do. But next month, I'm tired of NAR. Probably we're going to get back on track and start going back to going over new construction, because that's where I know this time of year is where new construction deals are to be made. And that's it, right?
Yeah, I would say that if we do let's talk about our actual, real world experiences with what we're seeing on these signings and stuff.
Right.
If we have that to talk about, we will. I think that would be a good idea to just let people know in practice what's happening.
And we may do a separate video just going over the new listing a contract and the new 3 separate videos, right?
That would be good.
But the most important one to me is the buyer brokerage agreement. All right. Because that one is just something that we can't avoid.
Yeah, we can't. No, there's no way around that.
And I just think, why would we? I mean, I know the point of those and I'm sorry, I'm ranting, but a thought just came to my head. I know the point of the buyer brokerage agreement is to disclose and be upfront what your worth is, right? But just to show a house, you have to have them sign that. Mm-hmm. I just think that's over. That's just too much.
I think some agents will not do that right away.
No, I don't.
They'll be too afraid.
I never believed in them before, because if you want me, you're going to use me and you're going to be loyal to me. Right. And if you don't want me, then, chalk it up, karma. I don't get your sale. Right. But if that's my system, is I believe in what goes around comes around, and that's how I run my business. And I've been very successful that way. And I'm not like a greedy agent that's only commission hungry. Right. Because I don't look at that. And so that's why it's going to be hard for an adjustment for me to get my buyers to sign those right away, because I just don't want to put my buyers in that situation. But unfortunately, the new laws have made it that way.
I think one thing that we are very adept at is doing the things we have to do.
Right.
And this is something we have to do.
Yes.
So we will do that, and we'll do it with class.
A smile.
And a smile. And then we'll handle however we have to handle things from there. Again, with class.
Right. All right, folks. Thank you guys so much for watching.
Rock on.
And do it peacefully.
And we will see you on the next
one. Peace out, guys.
All right.